What were the major changes in 1960s education? Imagine a time when students started questioning everything, from authority figures to the way schools were run. The 1960s was a decade of big shifts in how Americans learned and thought about education. Schools expanded access to college and university programs, making it easier for more people to attend. States invested heavily in higher education, creating new opportunities for working class and minority students, even though some inequalities still existed. The federal government stepped in with laws like the Elementary and Secondary Education Act of 1965, which aimed to reduce gaps in education by funding schools that served low-income communities. This law marked a move toward viewing education as a way to fight poverty and give everyone a fair shot. At the same time, the way students moved through school changed. In the early 1960s, many schools used tracking systems that separated students into college-bound or vocational paths. These tracks often reflected race and class differences, but the decade saw efforts to challenge these strict divisions. Schools began experimenting with more flexible approaches, encouraging students to explore different interests rather than sticking to predetermined routes. The classroom environment itself also evolved. The 1960s saw a rise in student activism, with movements like the free speech protests at Berkeley challenging traditional authority. Students wanted more voice and participation, and classrooms shifted from just memorizing facts to engaging in discussions and critical thinking. Higher education grew rapidly, but this also created new divides. Research universities gained prominence, often focusing on applied research funded by the government or corporations. This led to a split between elite research institutions and smaller colleges that focused more on teaching. Demographic changes also played a role. More women and minority students entered schools, slowly changing the face of American education. Although gender gaps in college attendance persisted, the decade laid the groundwork for greater diversity and inclusion. All these changes reflected the broader cultural shifts of the 1960s. Education became a tool for personal growth, social activism, and societal change. It was a time when many believed that learning could help shape a better future, even as challenges like inequality and access still lingered. The decade's innovations in education helped set the stage for ongoing reforms and the push toward more inclusive, participatory learning environments.